Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to The Walk. Today is Tuesday, July 23rd. Yesterday, we saw that Ezekiel got his call, that the Spirit lifted him up, and even though he didn't really want to answer the call, he chose to do it anyway. This next section of chapter 3 in Ezekiel is called A Watchman for Israel. Now, here on The Walk, we have talked a lot about what it means to be a watchman. A watchman has a very strong gift of discernment. A lot of times they have visions, they have dreams, they are seers, not always, but as it is often the case. And they basically diligently watch over God's people and become aware when there's a threat. So if your calling is to be a watchman, it is a very big calling. It is a very big responsibility. So we're starting in verse 16, and it says, "At the end of 7 days, the word of the Lord came to me." Okay, so this is not Ezekiel talking. This is God's word. "Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. Whenever you hear a word from my mouth, you shall give them warning from me. If I say to the wicked, you shall surely die, and you give him no warning, nor speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way in order to save his life, that wicked person shall die for his iniquity. But his blood I will require at your hand." Okay, so what God is telling him here is, I'm going to give you a word. I'm going to give you warnings about people's wicked behavior. Let's just stop it right there. Okay. If I go to someone who has wicked behavior and I give them a warning, they may receive that and say, you know what, I need to change what I'm doing. Or they may get mad at me and persecute me because I gave them that warning and they didn't like that I pointed out their sin. That's a very vulnerable position to be in. However, it's not nearly as vulnerable as refusing to give the warning, because now God is going to hold you accountable for that. So you've got to be aware that that watchman calling is a very, very big calling. The ramifications of answering the call has a huge impact, just as the ramifications of denying the call has a huge impact. And if you refuse to decide either way, you've refused to give the call. God makes it clear how important it is that the message be delivered with integrity and remains true to exactly what God said. So this is a warning of God's judgment is an important part of the gospel. Too often we water down the gospel and say it's all peaches and cream, it's all cozy and feeling good. That's not always the case. God's judgment is still coming. When you read Revelation, there is plenty of God's judgment. Verse 19, "But if you warn the wicked, and he does not turn from his wickedness or from his wicked way, he shall die for his iniquity, but you will have delivered your soul." Okay, so what this means is if you give the warning and they don't accept it, you are off the hook. They may still die in their iniquity, but you did your job. 20, "Again, if a righteous person turns from his righteousness and commits injustice, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die. Because you have not warned him, he shall die for his sin, and his righteous deeds that he has done shall not be remembered. But his blood I will require at your hand." He's saying, Ezekiel, you're going to have to be the one that kills him. "But if you warn the righteous person not to sin, and he does not sin, he shall surely live, because he took warning, and you will have delivered your soul." So this is coming from the ESV Study Bible. While the role of the watchman was well known in ancient Near Eastern culture, Ezekiel's divine appointment was unique. The watchman was charged with the safety of the community. He was to warn the people of impending danger, especially enemy attack. Any watchman that failed his duty was held personally responsible. Negligence resulting from the loss was punishable by death. The prophet, therefore, was held responsible and accountable for bringing the messages of judgment to the rebellious people. So what's the takeaway from this message? When God gives you a calling, step up and do it. You have no idea how deep those ramifications are. That's first of all. Secondly, when you step up to answer that call, be aware that that person's response is between God and them. Your job was to tell them. Once you have told them with fidelity and integrity, you are out of the equation. Now the interaction is between the person and God, and you're over here. You did your part. We need to step up and do our part. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.